a panel won't be easy in this highly watched, politically charged trial that begins with jury selection.
Back row. Clear, quiet, and action.
Jury duty. Got a summons in the mail. Just trying to pray my way out of it.
Make damn sure you don't underestimate me.
They're just gonna buy his verdict.
We only need 8 of them for a verdict.
It looks and has the flavor of a pretty great thriller, and John Grisham.
Find something on every one of them.
It's much more of a con movie, a grifter movie.
Everybody's got a button. We just gotta find out where and push.
Whatever you can get away with, you do. Trials are too important to be left up to juries.
Nicholas Easter is a man who's living in New Orleans who gets called for jury duty, and there are forces at work that are trying to interfere with the jury.
The defense has retained Rankin Fitch as their lead jury consultants.
Jeremy plays Green, a guy who talks me into having a jury consultant because Hackman's character, Fitch, who is like the best jury consultant that money could buy, is working for the opposition.
Everybody has a secret they don't want you to find. Find it.
He's put together this team of high-tech personnel who delve very extensively in potential jurors' backgrounds. What do we got, people?
Ricky Coleman, 36 years of age. Her husband's a Baptist minister. She had an abortion 2 years ago. And the guy holding her hand at the clinic? Not the Baptist minister.
And trying to sway their opinions, and trying to, in some cases, blackmailing, in some cases, they have physical confrontations.
His speciality is to choose a jury that he thinks he will be able to force into voting his way and pervert the course of justice.
They're using video surveillance, wiretaps, finding out things about jurors their husbands and their wives don't even know.
In a sense, they're both archetypes, these guys. So the character that I play is a passionate man who represents what we would like to think we still have a semblance of in ourselves. And Gene's character represents success. Period.
This is about you messing with my client, my case, and the rules of law that govern. That's what I was hired to do, fella.
Hello, Rankin.
I'd like to know who I'm speaking with.
You can call me Marley.
Payphone, 15 miles away.
The fact is, the jury's mine, and I can push it either way for a price.
Fitch's group gets these phone calls from this woman who says that she can sway the jury one way or another.
How do I know that you can provide the verdict?
I bet you're old enough to remember a time when people delivered on what they promised. I'm one of those people.
How did he sound?
Rich.
All is not what it seems with Mr. Easter.
Nick Easter is spinning this jury.
I know you're playing both sides. What's your price?
10 million.
Big number.
She's hustling me, and she is telling me that if I come up with the right amount of money, that she will swing the jury verdict my way.
With Rankin Fitch in the game, you can't win. To all intents and purposes, we're criminals, we're grifters, and we have to enjoy the game. We have to enjoy this, manipulating these lawyers, John manipulating these jury members. You have them.
We don't have anything yet.
It's about heisting a jury. In this case, the MacGuffin of the film is the jury. And you have 3 different parties. Gene Hackman's party, Dustin Hoffman's party, and Cusack Weiss's party pursuing the MacGuffin, in this case the jury.
Anyone can be gotten to.
I think people like being taken behind the curtain in any sort of subculture. And Runaway Jury is giving people a new look into the subculture of jury tampering and jury selection. And among the most famous jury consultants is Joellen Demetrius.
Jury consulting has been around for about 35 years, and then came to be known really by the public in O.J. Simpson's case. And we come from a perspective where we study human behavior. We study how people react.
Dolores Kennelly, 46 years of age, devout cat lover.
Yeah, look at the way she turns away from the man walking her skunk. She's definitely self-conscious about her weight.
Maybe she just hates dogs.
I think what's accurate about Gene Hackman's role is that he does have the ability to almost instantaneously read someone. If you can look at a person and based on what environment they're in, come up with kind of a story about that person, you will be a wonderful jury consultant.
How's your mother?
Excuse me?
She feeling better?
How you know about my mother?
She was in the hospital, but now you're taking care of her at home.
She had a stroke.
That's what I thought was so interesting about the script when I read it was you've never seen the people behind the scenes who are literally pulling the strings about who gets selected to a jury.
The movie was very accurate in terms of showing that there are a lot of people that get involved in the process. When I worked on O.J.'s case, I had people from every different background offer to help. An anthropologist, a sociologist, a graphologist.
Syntax, handwriting, word choice, clearly a woman did the note.
So all the sort of cast of thousands, if you will, that we saw in the war room, are there those types of people in what we do? Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. When the Constitution was constructed and we were talking about being judged by your peers, they had no clue that we would have a sophisticated kind of jury consulting apparatus at work now that can just program these people in such a way. And the verdict is in before the trial starts. It's in the whole banana is in picking the jury.
In court, somebody always loses. Just not me.
I feel about New Orleans the way I feel about New York, that it's really not always easy to shoot there, but somehow, like New York, it somehow is worth it, because on film you really feel like the city is on the edge of the frame constantly.
It's hard to be in New Orleans because you actually have to stay in shape for the movie, and the food here is so good that if you don't watch it, you'll literally gain 35 pounds in 2 weeks. So it's like Temptation Island. It's Temptation Bayou.
For me, the most successful set, really, in the film is Gene Hackman's War Room. The idea of the War Room is that it's a combination of incredible chaos with cables everywhere and lights and plasma screen TVs on stands and just desks in odd angles, but in some way also makes sense that there actually is something happening here.
One of the ideas I threw to Gary was that it could be just an abandoned costume house right in the middle of the quarter. And you open up into a back warehouse area that had remnants of old Mardi Gras costumes and the festivities that are so much a part of the city, and yet that's all been pushed aside for the latest high-tech gear, and you wouldn't be noticed in an old space.
There are two levels to the War Room. There's one where Hackman and company can get information on the jurors, and the second issue is one of keeping them in line. And so who knows what happens behind the scenes, and that's the point of the film. We take people behind the curtain.
Line numbers, guys. Set. Action.
Excuse me, we're cleaning up in here.
Am I gonna get beat up now, Mr. Rohr?
Gene and Dustin never worked together. And they used to room together. So I think it'll be pretty exciting to see them on screen together.
There definitely was an excitement that they'd never worked together before.
Just one of those things. I've worked with a lot of people in the business over those years, and so has Dusty. But we never got together.
We have reunited in terms of our friendship, and it's just been wonderful being on the same set with him.
It's good for eating. It's good for eating.
Doesn't really get much more exciting than working with Gene Hackman and Dustin Hoffman. It was a huge honor to work with them both. What can I say?
I always like to say that Dustin Hoffman is jazz and Gene Hackman is classical. Dustin is like Thelonious Monk. He's sort of improvisational and spontaneous. And Gene is this very precise guy that makes his wonderful choices as an actor and plays them out with great precision. He's Yo-Yo Ma. And what was fun was to see them work together in their big scene.
When to roar. An overdue pleasure.
We have this scene, and we've talked about that he's an archetype of the winner in our society, the suit that is a winner, and I'm an archetype of the person who's trying to have a sense of ethics.
Don't tell me you hung your case on somebody's conscience.
I hung my case on my own conscience. The idea we would like to have is that there's a commonality between us, which I think would be the most interesting way to go.
Is that why you're doing this, protect Constitution, is that?
Of course not. I'm in it to win, just like you are, because that's what I was hired to do. Right.
I wanted his part, and they said I couldn't have it. I said, why? They said, Gene Hackman has it. I said, well, can't you get rid of him?
You did that once.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, on what?
On The Graduate.
That's right. I said, this is my shot at stardom. And if they're going to just talk about Mr. Robinson after the film,
And you're, look at you, let's go back. That was such a beautiful thing you did.
It's wonderful in a sense because you still have fans saying, Gene, does it? And they're the same fans you had in the 60s when they were 17, but now they're 67. They're still there for you. Yeah, right. That's true. We haven't lost one of them.
You know what, Fitch? You're gonna lose? I doubt it. I've seen it before with guys like you. But you're gonna be all alone in a room full of shadows, and all you're gonna have is the memories of all those people's lives you have destroyed. It's a good story, Wendell. But it's just further proof of why you can't beat me.
Do we have a deal or don't we?
This girl is an amateur.
Runaway Jury is not a courtroom thriller per se. Everything that happens in the courtroom is interesting sort of backdrop for the thrilling stuff which happens beyond the courtroom.
$20 million ought to be enough to secure a jury. You have destroyed all those people's lives.
It's an intelligent, exciting thriller that has some really unbelievable twists.
I want you to find her. I want you to contain her. You're losing me my jury. I can't protect you.
Just out of high school at Pasadena Playhouse, weren't you?
I was out of high school. I went almost a year to City College, and I was so bad in my grades that I took an acting course just to get 3 credits because they said nobody flunks acting, so I took it. And after that, I said, okay, I want to be an actor and I didn't think I was any good. I just didn't want to go to work, go to service. I heard about Pasadena Playhouse. I go there, 2-year school, and I meet Gene. I think I met him in the first month. I don't remember how we met.
We were in a couple of classes together.
That's right. That's right. I think we did Mice and Men, a scene from Mice and Men.
And we did an improv once of Uncle Remus or something. I don't know.
That's right. You were Uncle Remus.
Yeah. But I was much older than almost everybody in the class.
Well, you got in on a GI Bill.
Yeah, I was.
You'd been in the Marines.
I had been in service for a while.
You'd been in China. Mm-hmm. He went into the Marines when he was like 13.
But I didn't get any encouragement at the Pasadena Playhouse. I was kind of a big lummox kind of a person.
He lasted 3 months.
And so
they graded you. And you, after the semester or whatever, in your mailbox, there was a slip of paper, and they graded you for characterization, gestures, articulation, makeup, you know.
Movement.
He got the lowest that they'd ever given anyone was like a 2 or something out of possible 10. He got a 1.3, I think.
I think that's true.
And he was let go. And he said to me, I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to New York.
I'll show him.
And he said, if you ever get to New York, look me up. And then I came to New York 2 years later, and that's when he said, you can stay in my apartment. He had 1 bedroom and a very small living room. That was really a living room with a kitchen. I mean, it was not very many square feet on 2nd Avenue, 30th Street, something like that.
26th Street.
26th Street. He said, you can stay there for a couple nights. And then I wouldn't leave. Because
I had to take him out
I would not leave.
Go up and down the streets of New York looking for an apartment.
I was scared shitless. How did the bongos and the conga come about?
I don't know.
We'd go up on the roof and play. I'd play bongos, he'd play conga.
I think that probably came from our love of Brando, maybe.
Yes, that's right. We used to hear that he played in clubs.
So we wanted to be like Brando.
That's right.
I'll tell you a story about Dusty.
I know what you're going to tell. You're going to tell about the money you lent me. I know you're going to tell this fucking story.
It's a funny story, I think. I go over to Dusty's little apartment in Pasadena one time, and he says, hey, can you lend me some money? I said, yeah. My wife was working. I wasn't working, but my wife was working. So I said, how much do you need? He said, I don't know, $5 or whatever. And
more than that.
So I go into his kitchen, and he has these mason jars up on a ledge. And one of them says rent, one of them says entertainment, one says books, one says about 5 of them, all labeled.
Electric.
And they all had money in it, except the one that said food. And that didn't happen to have any money. So I said to him, well, you don't need any money, you got money. He says, I can't take the money out of the other jars. I think your mom probably told you that was the way to...
That's right. Or my father.
Borrow money from Gentiles.
That's right. And don't pay them back. Psychologically, Gene, myself, we did not think about making it in the terms that people think about it. I mean, we fully expected to be failures for our entire life, and not meaning that we would always be scrambling to get a part. We were actors, and we had no pretensions or you know.
Well, there was a kind of a feeling of, you know, Jack Kerouac at that time on the road, and you know, kids really just wanted to have a good time and kind of experience things, and as Dusty says, it hadn't had anything to do with being successful.
There was more dignity in being unsuccessful. We didn't call each other.
We just showed up on the set.
How you doing?
Hey, what's happening?
I haven't seen you in a while.
You been working?
Yeah, for the last 46 years, once in a while. If I do get a phone call from Gene, I've just done a film, and he'll say, I saw such and such, you were a piece of shit. And then he just hangs up.
Or one of us will say, very interesting.
That's right. I saw that film, very interesting.
You did it again.
Yeah. Or I saw that film, that was a tough role.
Yeah. How many actors could pull that off?
Because you're not one of them.
Yes, right.
Actors will say, but my character would. I always say, well, who's the character? I mean, there's no such thing. It's this amorphous thing. I mean, you barely know yourself. How are you going to know something that's fictional, even another person? So don't you take those characteristics that they give Gene or that they give me, and you then make it a part of something that you can touch, identify. Yeah, I have that in me. I have that in me. And then you just let that, and then forget about it. And then, because you're you. But once you're doing those characteristics or whatever, you alter a little bit. You can't help it. You're not thinking about it. And then what comes through for an audience is a character. But you're not thinking character. You're not thinking that.
The guy you played in Midnight Cowboy, would, you know, probably if you knew Dusty, well, you'd say there's no. What part of Dustin is in that character? What was his name?
Ratso Rizzo.
Ratso Rizzo.
Enrico Rizzo.
Yeah.
Well, that.
But there's a lot of things you can find in yourself that is like, and then there's externals that you add to that.
Say, okay, I got to have an accent, I got to have a limp, whatever. But I mean, it's if you can't touch that. I mean, if you don't, you know, in other words, that wasn't the reach for me. Now, if I see that movie now, I see a lot I'd like to take down. Believe me, I could make a lot of shit more subtle, which I wish I had a chance to do then. But nevertheless, I did identify because I was an outsider. I couldn't, and well, both of us were. I couldn't get a date. I got pimples, whatever. I mean, I had no way. I had no way to charm or get. I mean, I couldn't even finish a dial on a phone trying to get a girl. I mean, so in that sense, it was. I mean, I felt ugly. I felt ugly. But I was talking about to you the other day about his work. Is that it's. I don't, as well as I know Gene, I don't know where, because he works the same way, but I don't know where I don't know where he got, let's say, the conversation from. I know where he got Scarecrow from, you know, I know, because I know that part of him, and I know where he got, and people didn't realize, I know where he gets that Frankenstein, I know where, because I know that fucking zany thing that in him. But that character, let's say, in Conversation, and even Popeye Doyle, because there's a, you know, if you know Gene, you've seen the parts of that. But the concentration was, it just took me, I said, Jesus. Because I did think it was as well, and I know him for years, my God. And I thought it was, I thought, that's another person.
There's an example of somebody setting up atmosphere. Francis Coppola will set up an atmosphere for an actor because he likes actors. He enjoys it, and he knows that if his work is going to be good, the actor's work has to be good. And he will set up the atmosphere for you to work in. That's, for me, that's primary.
But what were you thinking about in terms of that kid? Were you just thinking isolation?
Yeah, but I had an uncle that looked very much like him.
I see.
And I also, I knew somebody very well when I was in the Marine Corps who was probably ended up being a serial killer or something, but he was this guy who was, you could not break that.
We are no different. Certainly he's no different. I mean, it's the same person. It's literally the same person as when we were bumming around in the late 50s in New York. No different in...
We get together and the first thing we start talking about is girls.
Yes.
I mean, it's just...
I mean, that's all we talked about then.
Just dropped out of the sky like the Archangel Gabriel.
He's a risk.
I'm Nick Easter. Where are we with Roar?
He hasn't stepped up yet. He will. We're inside.
People could get killed. No, I'm inside. You're on the street.
See, you and Mr. Easter are keeping busy, busy, busy.
It's a courtroom drama, but then it's also this con movie in a strange way, and it's also a movie about human nature and manipulation.
This has such a great story. It was such a brilliant twist at the end. I think it's a thriller that's about a really important political, social subject.
It's these two different movies that sort of looks and has the flavor of a courtroom drama, but there's all these different things going on. There's all these cons going on.
As an actor, I was drawn to playing Marley because she's a character who's playing a character. In fact, she's playing lots of different characters. So as an actor, that's a kind of a really attractive proposition.
He's a complex character. He's not kind of one of these simple black and white heroes, because I don't know if there really are any of those kinds of people. Everybody's got their contradictions and flaws, and I like doing a big movie like this that had an opportunity to do a character that had some dimension to it.
I used to want to be a lawyer, so maybe this is the closest I'll ever get to it.
There's a lot of shades of gray in the movie, which there has to be, because for somebody to do what my character does and what Rachel's character does, you know, it's not a healthy thing to do. So you have to be either damaged or impassioned or zealot enough to risk an enormous amount because of your belief in justice and to corrupt a corrupt system, if you will.
I really love working with John. I find he just, John has really his own style and his own way of doing things, which is like nobody else. Nobody else does John Cusack.
I was very excited to do a scene with Gene Hackman. I had a great scene where these two characters got a lot at stake meet, and that was great fun. He's always been a hero of mine. So I didn't have a lot of scenes, but I was real excited about the scenes I did have with him. It seems to me Gene comes in with a very clear idea of what he wants to do, and then he comes in and makes it look absolutely effortless and just does it.
That's not what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
How well do you know her?
And he's full of presence, and he'll work a scene a little bit, but mostly he has an idea, and Dustin will, take the whole library from A to Z, and he'll go through it all, and he'll try it 1,000 different ways. And I like kind of working both ways.
Gene knows how to play villains in the most charming way imaginable. It's almost impossible to dislike him, even though he's so evil and corrupt and nasty. He's just so deeply charming that he just kind of seduces you. So I guess I tried to sort of seduce him back. I had to be tough with him, but it's very hard to out-tough Gene Hackman.
I know you're playing both sides.
We are. I think the way that Dustin and I played the scene together, he was more paternal towards me. He felt like I was like a naughty little girl, up to no good, being a naughty little criminal, and he was kind of slightly patronizing. And I had to show him that with Rank and Fitch involved, there is no real justice. It's all bribery.
And there's also a lot of other great actors in it, Louis Guzman and Bill Nunn, and these wonderful actors who play the rest of the jurors.
Oh man, I'll be honest, I love working in ensembles. We have a great ensemble here, great talent. Everybody just brings a different flavor to this movie. And everybody just shows up to work, and everybody just, an everyday kind of person, which is great, which is really great. And I think we have really, really good chemistry here. I know we do.
Well, I think the most interesting aspect of being part of the cast of Runaway Jury for me was being surrounded by these amazing actors. To be on the set every day with this group of people was just too good to pass up. And it has been really, really exciting. It's been fun. I've learned a lot.
So we had a lot of, I think, great scenes with all the jurors, because that's a whole separate film, is Nick and all the jurors.
What do you think? Okay, here we go. Marker.
It's a pretty interesting story, and I've never really seen one about jury tampering, and if I don't screw it up, it should be good.